Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. His new book is A Republic Under Assault, the left's ongoing attack on American freedom. Available for pre-order now, and please do so. We recommend it to you highly. Tom, good to have you here.
Thank you.
Michigan. There's just another state that, under Democratic control, that is out of its ever-loving mind. That state government is 2-week extensions, and don't worry about the election results on Election Day. Are you kidding? The Dems are reversing a decades-old convention, and that is knowing who the heck we've elected in nearly every case the night of the election.
Well, it shows you they don't care about the vote. It's about power politics, and it's about coming up with a process that may or may not include counting votes that puts the candidate of their choice into office. The governor kind of exposed the fraud behind the mail-in ballot push. They don't want rules to apply. As you point out, they'll be counting ballots potentially until at least November 17th. And she's saying maybe beyond that. Technically speaking, if they don't know who won by December 8th, Michigan may not be able to participate in the system or in the Electoral College. Mm-hmm. California will be counting ballots 17 days after the election. I tell you, Lou, it's one thing to count ballots that have come in. Let's say you've got a lot of mailed-in ballots. They all came in. You've got a bunch more than you would otherwise have, but they're all there on Election Day. And it takes a while to count them and maybe a day or two to get all the numbers right. We are talking about counting ballots that arrive postmarked. In some cases, the left doesn't want even postmarks to matter after Election Day. If you count ballots that come in after Election Day, you're inviting fraud. And you're undermining confidence in the outcome of the election.
The conduct of the Democrat Party is nothing new. They're not exactly a surprise organization, and their objectives should be a shock to no one. Yet here we are, 3 weeks from the most important election, certainly of our lifetimes, and the Republicans act like they've been caught absolutely flat-footed, had no idea this was coming. There are already 9 million votes by mail-in ballot, and the Republicans still don't seem to be reacting very vigorously. Judicial Watch is doing great work, but you're only one organization. The Democrats are throwing hundreds of thousands of people at this effort to control the election. The balloting, at the polls, as you say, the vote counting will certainly be interesting. How in the heck could we get to this position, knowing for years what certainly you and I've known, that there's going to be a real contest here for power?
Well, Republicans have been late to the game here. At least they're litigating in an aggressive way, frankly, thanks to the president. And I'm not saying because I like Republican Party. It's just that I don't want votes to be stolen. I don't want the elections to be rigged. What I'm more concerned about is the fact that the Justice Department hasn't been anywhere on this. They haven't done much to clean up the rolls. They've done no interventions in these outrageous efforts to really, in my view, it's forget about voting fraud. It's that there are people whose votes are going to be thrown out who otherwise could have been counted if they showed up and vote in person because they were being fraudulently induced to rely on something that's really unreliable in the end or less reliable, which is voting by mail. And so now you're going to have potentially millions of voters not have their votes counted, and the DOJ knew that was coming down the pike, and they did nothing to stop it.
Well, we know this. The Department of Justice Deep State, what would you call it, cabal, is, they're not there for civil rights and voting rights. They're there to make certain of outcomes, and that is the deal. The Wall Street Journal today saying the president they wish that he wouldn't be so critical of the Attorney General Barr, because, it's a matter of principle, they're sure, on the part of Barr, to not have a report, as he promised, to not have indictments and charges against those he described as nefarious my word, encapsulating his language. You know, I don't know what to say. Your thoughts about Barr? Is the president being too harsh, wanting an attorney general to honor the people's right to know? Is the president being too harsh and insisting that the people have the information with which to make a judgment before they go and cast their ballot? My God, the arrogance and the ignorance of the elites in this country, whether Republican or Democrat, is suffocating.
Yeah, I trust the experts at the Justice Department. The president can't be president. That seems to be the suggestion, and it's from both the left and the right. They get nervous when the president makes the mistake of thinking, oh my gosh, I was put into office here to be president. Maybe I should exercise the powers entrusted to me by the American people and not defer to nameless bureaucrats or people who supposedly work for me, but who ignore the public interest. You know, this president came to town to clean up the swamp and drain the swamp. And they targeted him and tried to destroy him ever since. And there's been few people out there within his own administration, within Congress, who have defended the rule of law and him from being victimized here. And I'm just tired of it. And the Justice Department has allowed this to go on with impunity, practically speaking.
Well, in other words, you're not siding with the Wall Street Journal editorial board.
No, the Wall Street Journal, look, this is the typical approach. This is the typical approach from the Washington establishment.
We don't have time for typical approaches, Tom. We've got three weeks to election, and we still don't have a damn substantive document that's been released by the deep state, and the defiance of the president's orders goes on another day. Hopefully that will end today. Tom, thanks for being with us. As always, good to see you. Tom Fitton.